What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be your review for Ready to Love season 2 episode. Well, my thing keeps saying season 2, but I think this is technically season 3. But I've been saying season 2, so I guess I'll just stick with what they're saying. But everything else is season 3, so we're gonna just whatever. I don't even know at this point. Anyway. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. So we start this episode off at the end of the elimination from the last episode. And Jay and Winter kind of go off to the side and have a conversation. And basically in the conversation, Jay, tells Winter how hard the deliberation was. And he basically lets her know, he said, she said, yeah. She said, I know Tommy asked y'all some hard questions, but I don't know if he asked y'all the same questions he asked us. And he was like, well, what did he ask y'all? And he said, well, he asked me if I had to go home today, who would I choose? And he said, well, yeah, they asked us that too. And she was like, well, what did you say? He said, well, I said Joy. Well, what did you say? She was like, I said you. So they clearly are, So then the guys go in and talk to Tommy, because this is a female elimination week. So he went to go talk to them and sort of give them their homework for the week. So he charged them with not going out on dates with their number one. He said, you guys already, that's your number one. He said, but I want you to go out on a date with somebody that you may not have as your number one, maybe your number two, or maybe, your number three, but keep yourself open to the possibility. Maybe you'll get to know somebody, maybe you'll learn something, maybe you'll see something different, but keep yourself open to the possibility of being with somebody that you hadn't been that hadn't been your number one up until this point. So we saw Rashid went out on a date with Alex and they did fondue. They had a good conversation. The other thing was Tommy gave them cards and they had to ask each other these questions. And so in their conversation, Rashid talked about the question was about sabotaging a relationship and things like that. And, Alex... Oh, and let me say this, y'all. I apologize that I got Adriana and Alicia confused last week, okay? For those who've been rocking with me for a long time, y'all know I be fucking up names, okay? For those who are new, I apologize if it bothered you. I had somebody who left a comment talking about they wasn't going to watch me no more because I messed up the names. And I apologize. It's no disrespect. I just screw it up sometimes. Moving on. But it's Alex. I got it right. It's Alex, okay? And she said that she feels like, she did. She can look back on the relationship and see what she probably did, not with the intention of doing it, but she did sort of, sabotage it or what have you. And then, she asked Rashid about feeling, had he ever felt inadequate in a relationship? And he said, in his marriage, he said, his wife is an entrepreneur, he's an entrepreneur. He said, even though that's something he's very proud of her for being, it's one of those things where, she kind of had her own money, was doing her own thing. He said, and then once they had a child, he was like, I really felt like she just had everything she needed, and she really didn't need me. And, he said, I could have done a better job of communicating that, but I didn't. He said, but since my divorce, I've done the work, and I'm in a better place now, and that wouldn't be my go-to. Like, I would know better than to not speak about it, not be verbal about it, And so they had a really good conversation. Alex opened up also that she had been in an abusive relationship, and that, he asked her, was that something you blamed yourself for? And she said, I did at first, but now, with time and, healing and, that kind of thing, I no longer blame myself for it. So I thought they had a really good date. Then we had Joy and Edwin. Joy and Edwin went on their date, and it was they had dinner. I don't know if Edwin cooked. I wonder if Edwin cooked the meal. I don't remember if they said it or not. But just because he's a chef, I was just wondering. But they looked like they had a nice dinner outside, and they talked once again about therapy. I can't remember the question, but it was something along the lines of, it was something along the lines of with Joy, she said, I give my all. When I'm in a relationship, I give everything, and I tend to give too much and lose myself. And she said, her previous marriage, that's sort of what she had to figure out, that balance. And he asked her, well, what is it that you do? How do you come back from that, so to speak? And she said, she said prayer, meditation, and therapy. She said her therapy has really been her saving grace. And he said, that's definitely something I'm going to look into when I leave here, thanks to you. Like, you've really made me realize that that's something that I probably do need to do. And ultimately, Joy's thing is she likes Edwin, but she really doesn't think Edwin is really ready, because she believes he really does need therapy, and he really does need to process some things before he's ready, or before he should, I guess, put himself in a situation in a marriage or a serious commitment. And so I think she loves Edwin, but I definitely don't think that swayed her in any way in reference to who her number one was. What I thought was interesting, let me rewind for a second. What I thought was interesting was when, after Tommy gave them this assignment, Jay went to Joy to let her know what the assignment was, and to explain, hey, so you might see me, hanging out with some different folks this week, and I might not be giving you as much attention as I normally would, but I want you to know that it's because that's the assignment. And when he did that, I said, Joy is his number one, and there's really nothing anybody can do at this point to change that. I mean, when you feel like you need to go to the other person and say, listen, I don't want you to feel like I'm being distant. I don't want you to feel like I'm being disrespectful. I'm going through the process as I'm being mandated to do, and I want to give you that much respect to let you know what's going on. I knew then. I said, oh, well, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. And then when I saw Joy going on her date with Edwin being her number two, and her feeling like, listen, I like him, he's a good dude, but I really think that right now his focus should be on the therapy. I said, oh, well, that's a wrap. So I feel like Joy and Jay, that's locked. That's locked in. There's not anything. We're going to get to Jay and his date with Winter in a second. But there ain't really nothing that the number twos can do, I don't think, at this point. It have to be something monumental. So there's that. Then we have, so let's talk about, I guess we can go ahead and talk about Jay and Winter, since I sort of jumped the gun on that. So Jay and Winter went on a date. They did they had the telescope, and they were doing the stars, and Jay knew how to find the different constellations, and they were out under the stars, and it was all romantical and all of that. And one of the questions was about Jay misleading women. Women always feeling like they're in a deeper relationship than they are, and is it something that Jay does or says to make these women think that they're in something deeper than what they're in? And I don't have enough information to give my opinion on that. And the reason why I say that is because, unfortunately, women have a tendency to people hear that term, actions speak louder than words. But when it comes to men and relationships, I have found that that's not the case. Words speak louder than actions. And so I don't know if Jay is doing anything to make these women feel like they're in a deeper relationship than what they are, because I feel like Jay is probably upfront and letting them know, listen, I'm not looking for nothing deep, or I'm dating multiple women. But women have a tendency to say, well, he was with me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of last week, so I don't understand. I mean, he must be my man. Like, I know he said he dating other women, but he with me all the time. But what you didn't realize was he went on a lunch date Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and he was spending the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, up at the log cabin with somebody. Like, so it's easy for us to be like, oh, well, he said this, but he's doing that. But the problem was, you need to listen to the words. And so when they say actions speak louder than words, that's not true when it comes to men and relationships. Because men will tell you, and we as women want to say, I know that's what he said, but that ain't what he meant. No, that's what he meant. And even if he starts acting like you his woman, remember, he told you he won't. I mean, he told you you weren't. He told you he was over here doing this. So that's why I don't know if Jay is doing anything other than being a really nice guy, being chivalrous, probably treating them really nice, giving them that respect, and making them feel like they're the only one, which is what a man should do. So I don't know enough about Jay to make that determination. However, that's what women seem to think. So then the conversation came up about being emotionally unavailable, how Winter tends to date men who are emotionally unavailable. And I say, because Winter is the one who was married to the man and then he cheated on her like a week after they got married. You might not have seen the signs, but clearly you were dating someone who was emotionally unavailable. The fact that he was dating you and clearly had other things going on. I mean, you cheat a week after your wedding. I mean, damn. Like, how in love were you on your wedding night? Damn, a week? Child. And then she even said that the last guy she dated was going through a divorce, which means technically he was still married. And again, I get it. I'm not judging her at all, because y'all know I like me some Winter. Winter, that's my girl. So I'm not judging Winter for that. We date men who are separated. We date men who are going through a divorce. We do it all the time because the marriage is over. But there's still that emotional side that they're still processing. They're still going through the divorce. They're still dealing with those feelings. Maybe their children involved. So there's still a larger thing there. Anyway. So then she asked him something like, well, why haven't we kissed yet? Or something to that effect about why haven't they had a kiss yet? And he says, oh, well, I'm going to give you what you want. And I knew when he said that, I knew it was going to be some corny shit. I'm going to give you what you want. Child, he leaned over and gave her a kiss on the cheek. I said, see. And that's why I said, there's really nothing, like I said, the two of them are locked in. Jay and Joy, boom, they locked in. Boom. That's a couple that I see locked in. All right. Now, the rest of these people, I ain't too sure about. Now, so we had Denise and Calfani. Now, Denise and Calfani, they went on a very, very intimate situation. Okay. They had a massage did. Denise was in her bathing suit and he was massaging them and massaging her, and it was very intimate, and so then they got to talking, and one of the questions was asking Denise, when was the last time she was, when was the last time that she was vulnerable to a man or emotionally vulnerable to a man, something to that effect. And I'm like, she said 2001. Calfani said 19 years? That's a lot. Like, that's something that'll make you be like, what? So, and then they talked about her jealousy again. He said, listen, even though he hadn't seen it from her in the last week or so, he still was feeling some kind of way. He was still feeling some kind of way. And I was like, ooh, okay. So, okay. So I think that was all the dates. Did I get everybody? Boo, 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 boo. No, Anthony. So Anthony went on a date with Winter because Winter was his number 2 because Denise is his number 1. And they had a really good date. Now, I do think that date with Winter, I do think that changed Anthony's mind a little bit about who his number 1 was. Because Winter said after that date, she was done with Jay. Like, listen, you clearly ain't here. You clearly not into me. And I got way too much to give for me to be playing these games. So go ahead. Do you, boo. I see you on the other side. So I was like, yeah, that's a wrap. Whatever. But they played badminton, and she was actually pretty good, honey. She was getting her Serena on. I know it was badminton and not tennis, but she was doing it, and I don't know if he kind of let her win or if he really just underestimated her and thought she wasn't gonna be no good, And so they had made a bet. The bet was if he won, that she had to give him a kiss on the lips. If he won, not only did he have to give her a kiss, but then he had to carry her back to the main area. And he was like, hell, that's a win-win for me. Like, even if I lose, I'm winning. I ain't mad. So she won, and he, they got a little kiss now. It still was a little peck, but it was on the lips, not on the cheek. He had lipstick on his lips, okay? Then they sat down and they talked, and one of the things, asked Anthony was when have you ever been in love? And this has been an ongoing thing with Anthony, of him not feeling like he's been in love before. And he said that he doesn't think he's ever been in love. He said he's been deep and he's been close, but he's always pulled himself back because at that time in his life, football was his first love. He said, but now I'm done with football and I'm ready. I'm really ready to be open to that. And so Linda said that kind of took her back But honestly, I understand. Like when he gave that explanation, I got it. And to be honest with you, he probably has been in love. He just didn't allow himself to sit in those feelings and sit in those emotions. But he probably's been in love. I think sometimes we think that love is gonna come down from the sky and bump us over the head, and it's gonna be a big billboard that say you are in love. But he probably, if we really broke down his relationships and how he felt for those women and how deep it went and intimate they got, he probably was in love, but he didn't allow himself to move forward because he knew that ultimately his eyes was on another prize. And you know what? For that, I can respect it. Like, he ain't leave a bunch of, well, he might have still left some broken hearts. Yeah. Anyway. So Rashid had a conversation with Adriana. Oh, and they did get a kissy kiss. They did some real kissy kissing. Okay. So Rashid had a conversation with Adriana. That's still his number one. And he bought her like a little notebook. You know, he bought her a little gift. Probably out the gift shop, child. Because she likes to sing. So he bought her a little notebook where she could write down her songs and her ideas and stuff like that. And he asked her, he said, you know, you still my number one. Like, you know, you're my number one. You know, you're still the person, you know, even though I went on a date with Alex, it was cool. But you're still at the top of my list. And he was like, well, how do you feel about that? And she didn't give him a direct answer. You know, she was like, well, you know, I'm still figuring it all out. I'm still thinking it all through. I'm still dealing, you know. And he was like, yeah, that made me feel some kind of way because that mean you ain't, that I'm not yours, you're not mine, we not each other's, you know. Well, you know what I'm saying. Then I think that was pretty much that. So they went in for their deliberations, and Tommy asked them, and basically Tommy wanted to know, after going out on the dates and after, you know, going through the exercises with the cards and stuff, where does everybody stand? So he asked, I don't know the order, but let's just go down the guys. So he asked Rashid, who's your number one? Rashid said it's still Adriana. Ask Jay, who's your number one? He said it's still Joy. Ask Edwin, who's your number one? He said it's still Joy. No, he said it is Joy. So I guess Winter was his number one? Interesting, because I feel like maybe Edwin should have went on a date with Winter. But anyway, he didn't. It is what it is. Then they asked Kelfani, well, who's your number one? He said Adriana. So of course, you know, Rashid was giving him the side eye like, okay. And then Jay was giving Edwin the side eye like, okay. Then we had Anthony. And they were like, well, Anthony, who's your number one? And he said, Denise and Winter. And Tommy was like, nah, bro. He was like, who is your number one? Like, at this point, who's still your number? Like who? If you had to leave here today with one of them, who would it be? And he said, it's really, really, really tight. He said, but I think today might have swayed it. I think today Winter might have moved up to the number one spot. And I was like, I like it. I like it because I don't want Winter to keep dealing and entertaining Jay because he ain't interested. It just is what it is. The problem is, our man out next week is going to be Edwin. And that's who my prediction is to go home next week is Edwin. That's our man out because, well, week after next, they're not going to have a show next week because of Christmas. But that's my opinion. I think next week is going to be when it's a guy's elimination because if Edwin isn't someone's number one at this point, or even number two, really, because Winter ain't say nothing about Edwin. So if he's not someone's number one or number two, where does that really leave him? I feel like it's going to be Edwin. Anyway, so this week, so Tommy said, well, basically what y'all just said was Denise and Alex wasn't anybody's number one at this point. And so pretty much one of them got to go. So they sent they sent Anthony to talk to Denise, and they sent Kelfani to talk to Alex. So when they sent Kelfani to talk to Alex, I knew Alex was the one going home because what I've noticed is they never send the person that person is dating to send them home. They always send one of the other people that they haven't, you know, that they cool with, but they haven't been dating like that to give them that message. So when Anthony went to go talk to Denise, I said, Denise done got another save, and that's what it was. Alex was sent home. And again, like Kelfani said, Brian had you on such a lock that none of us really got an opportunity to get to know you. And you seem like a really nice, you know, you seem like a really nice chick. Well, I don't say chick, but you seem like a really nice woman and everything. But pretty much at this point, everybody kind of already has their number one and number two. Like, it would be hard for you to slide into somebody's number two spot. Even though Edwin gonna wish Alex was still around next week, cause who you don't who. So who do I think gonna be with Edwin? It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Edwin in the bottom. Maybe Rashid. I would say Edwin and Rashid because Rashid is Adriana's number one, and his number two was Alex, and Alex just left, and I think Adriana's number one is still Kelfani. So I feel like it's gonna be, unless something major happens next week, I think it's gonna be Edwin and Rashid at the bottom. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments. Peace.